Delighted to hear that Auburn University here and I understand that there was some pretty valiant work by, and there was no question then that there was no.
It doesn't really matter what it is. How do you feel about using MS for mentor?
And I just think we shouldn't elect a president that doesn't commit himself to not just tokenism, not just one woman in the cabinet, one woman in the Supreme Court. We don't even have that now. I mean, President Nixon is a sexist. Let's face it. But commit themselves to women in substantial numbers on all the boards and commissions that regulate the National Security Council, that regulate our foreign policy, our domestic policy, our environment, and all the things that affect our lives as women as well as men. Because otherwise we have taxation without representation in this country. And before 1976, there's a woman running for president right now, Shirley Chisholm, and she's a marvelous woman and every bit as good, better than most of the men that have thrown their hats in the ring, and all too many have, But she may not get to be president. I don't think she has any hope to get nominated as president, but I honestly think we ought to use our bargaining power and insist that a woman be vice president in 72. And by 76, which is the 200th year of our republic, it's about time that government of, by, and for the people should be the people that are women as well as men. And I think that there are going to be a lot of women seriously running for the president, by 1976. This huge country is changing as much as it already has. I will predict to you that within 10 years, everything, the beginning of the era of Dr. Spock and the whole Freudian thing, and I took being a mother very, very seriously.
In the lobby downstairs, just before lunch, Douglas Arant said to me, "Isn't it too bad that Judge Clark, the draftsman of the federal rules, did not survive long enough to see reform come to fruition in Alabama?" And I said, "Mr. Arant, there were times when I thought I would not live long enough to see that day." You have a well-tested set of rules to go by. The federal rules have been in effect now for 34 years in the federal system. They have been amended from time to time as experience has demonstrated the need for change. They have been found suitable by the 32 states that have substantially adopted the federal rules. And so you don't have to ask yourselves, for that procedure a workable procedure, because lawyers and judges in thousands of cases all over the country have demonstrated that it is.
I think the concept of a limited access highway running through Georgia and Alabama and thus connecting the southeastern United States with the Midwest is a good one. Such a highway would run from Columbus, Georgia to Birmingham and then on to Memphis and eventually Kansas City. 6 states have already expressed an interest in this concept, and I urge the Federal Highway Administration to give it speedy and full consideration.
Well, let me say to you that I believe that President Nixon has laid forth for the public all over this world to know what this administration has done in order to bring peace in Vietnam. It has brought 500,000 troops out of Vietnam. It has reduced our casualties from more than 300 a week to 1 or 2 a week. And I happen to believe that those who in this country, for partisan political purposes, will state that they reject the proposal that the president has made to the North Vietnamese, and they themselves occupy an important position in this country, is certainly causing the North Vietnamese to extend this war in the hope that maybe some of these candidates will be elected and they can get a better deal after the election. I happen to believe it's irresponsible. I believe it will extend the war because the military situation has long since been settled in Vietnam. There's no way the North Vietnamese can prevail. And the only game over there now is the will of the American people. And I believe that anybody that tries to undermine that will and to indicate to the North Vietnamese that there is a divisiveness in this country that might lead to a changed position in this nation after the elections in November is indeed contributing to the extension of the war and to the killing of American men. And I'm opposed to it and I'm against it. So we can't have but one president in this country at one time. Now this doesn't have anything to do with debate. Surely the president can be criticized, his policies can be criticized, but when we come down to the basic issues in this country, I believe that patriotic Americans will back the president in what he's trying to do.
Some Republicans say the candidacy of Governor George Wallace would hurt the Republicans, while the Democrats say he's helping to re-elect President Nixon. What's your viewpoint on this? Do you feel like he's actually helping the president?
Well, I think in some places he might do harm to the president. Some places he might do harm to the Democrats. As I understand it now, he's running in the Democratic primaries for the nomination, for the Democratic nomination for president. Now, I believe that he is causing quite some concern in the state of Florida amongst the Democrats. You know, the Democratic candidates for president, as I saw in the newspaper the other day, are too humorous to mention. I happen to believe that Governor Wallace is going to win the primary down in Florida and is going to cause a great deal of difficulty for those other Democratic candidates.
You don't feel like there's some agreement between Governor Wallace and President Nixon on the campaign here?
Oh, no, I wouldn't think there's anything like that.
The value-added tax is just a series of national sales taxes built into the price and would fall most heavily on the poor and on people with fixed incomes. Supposedly, the money from the tax would be used to lower local property taxes. This plan would set in motion a further federalization of our public schools and their funding. Already we have too much federal control of our schools, and we certainly don't need any more. Federal support for public schools should be for the purpose of enabling states and their school districts to operate academically strong schools with a maximum of local responsibility for those operations. This cannot be done by eliminating fiscal responsibility. So it is difficult to picture a substitution of value-added tax for local property taxes without a sharp decline in state and local involvement in and control over education. So I would be against this idea of a value-added tax.
For a long time. And without wasting any time, a type of campaign that's going to be run from now until we win in November went in them red blunt.
Thank you very much, Jess. Ladies and gentlemen, I am today announcing that I am a candidate for the United States Senate. Now, this is not a sudden decision for me. For many years, I have wanted to serve the people of Alabama and our nation in an elective office. However, I did not want to run until I was reasonably certain that I was really needed and that there was a broad base of support for my candidacy. In short, I didn't want to run just to be running, but I wanted to run in order to serve. Now, last October, I decided to find out. I resigned as Postmaster General of the United States and came home to Alabama. And for 3 months, I have traveled all over Alabama, visiting with friends, talking with community leaders and with political leaders, and state leaders, politically active people, but most importantly, talking with thousands of just plain folks. Now, after listening to all of these different people, I became convinced that the majority of Alabamians feel that it is time for a change, for new, vigorous leadership to meet the changing needs and the challenges of the 1970s.
Here's what you can do. You can assist that the city hire additional police officers. You can demand that the police officers we now have be paid a decent salary so that we will not constantly lose trained men and women. You can request that they be given equipment which will adequately aid them in enforcing the laws. Then, and only then, can you demand that the police give you the protection you so greatly need and deserve. Why are we as police officers so concerned? Because we too want to live and raise our families in Montgomery. And we hope and pray that the next violent crime committed will not involve our wives and children. This FOP meeting tonight is being held for the purpose of deciding just what action the police officers themselves are going to take. At this time, we do not know just what the outcome will be. But I will say this: the police officers are tired.
tired of working 2 or 3 jobs in order to have the bare necessities of life. And they are tired of the embarrassment of telling people, there is nothing I can do. We're tired of riding one man to a car and worrying all the time. We are appealing to you, the citizens of Montgomery, for help. Help us to help you. Capital City Lodge number 11, Fraternal Order of Police.
Carl, well, they're here from third shift, man. Let them take it.
No, I'm second shift
You're
actually.
second shift.
No, we've lost 35 trains.
35. We need 45. We ain't above the ones we lost.
Yeah, but that was just 50. We did, but they never gave us an answer on any.
I seem to remember in the not too distant past.
Maybe I should bring out this.
There's number 11 that we had. Is that a majority of the Montgomery police bills?
About, yeah, about 99%.
City Commissioner and ask them questions.
I'd like to suggest that possibly some of the radio stations, I know I have located around town so that each section just about has one. I think that, or at least I can speak only for...
When I've been here 19 months, and I'm still at the same salary I was when I started. When my anniversary date came up, the City Commission said that they didn't have the funds to give me a merit raise. And I work part-time jobs trying to make ends meet. I support 1 child and a wife, and I work several different jobs directing traffic for different people that want them. I work school dances as a department store guard and things such as this. I also am in the Alabama National Guard to supplement my income.
How much do you make now?
$460.
UMGY, WAJM, but I believe the others will go along with that too.
Later, after we take care of reading the resolution here.
What you're hoping now is you'll just get some action from
Yes.
trying to bring some of these products to the...
Yes, so we're appealing to the public to try to get the public organizations to back us and go down to City Hall and introduce these pleas that we have to the mayor and the City Commission to do something about our salaries. I'm Officer Venable of the Montgomery Police Department, and I am honored to have been selected to present this news release to the public and to the members of Capital City Lodge number 11. Before presenting this news release, I'd like to cover some of the discrepancies that we are experiencing as police officers down here regarding our pay. And just taking for instance on the people here that have 2 to 3.5 years of service.
North Vietnam's immediate rejection of President Nixon's latest peace plan represents a callous disregard for human life and suffering. The president's plan contained numerous concessions on the part of the United States, and I believe it was quite flexible. If North Vietnam were simply willing to make similar concessions, an agreement could be worked out that would be satisfactory to all concerned.
And they moved to their South Montgomery cattle ranch. And in a few years, they... Base price for a West Coast dock strike is $5.80 per hour with all of the fringes and overtime and everything. It's a possibility that he could make $15 an hour. And then to tell me and to tell you people that your product is too high at the present price of beef, I think is ridiculous. And I think all of you, including the American National Office, should speak out loud and clear that beef is a bargain. It's the best bargain, and food in general is the best bargain that the housewife has on today's market. She buys a home once in a lifetime. She buys furniture maybe every 10 or 20 years, but she buys beef 1, 2, or 3 times. We're also talking about there's a senator or a congressman in the state of Rhode Island that wants to do away completely with beef imports. So we got imports to face us again for the next, right on us right now. From all the information we have and the need for keeping beef imports at a minimum in all the pass-through. As you know, since August, when the price is the point, but yet your consumer groups are telling us that beef is too high and feeder cattle from other parts of the country. It is apparent that everyone involved is looking
The President's attitude is a good straw in the wind, for he would not take this position unless he thought it had strong support throughout the nation. A constitutional amendment will require a 2/3 vote of both houses and ratification by 38 states. This effort, if successful, will probably take about 2 years. In the meantime, I would like to see activity by our national government on 3 fronts: passage of a statute outlawing busing, action by HEW stopping busing plans, and a changed attitude on the part of the federal judiciary all the way up to the Supreme Court. My concern will continue to be that every child in Alabama and the nation has the opportunity to obtain a good education.
How do you feel personally?
Well, basically, it's just a lot of relief, really, because I think that in my line of work, this is probably one of the biggest gut clenchers that you can run into. When we come up and find that it is a dud, I think it's just relief and maybe even a little bit of joy, because I really dislike working on this type of stuff.
Why are you doing it?
Well, I do it because I enjoy the idea that it's an independent command on my own. It's my opportunity to get out and lead a small, highly trained detachment of individuals, and I find it very challenging. That's why I do it.
Okay.
There are those that have attempted to do this in the future. A few of his aides suggested that I might be able to help, and that's how I went. Now, starting out, so we tried to break it down into very small pieces, into projects, if you would, that people could accomplish. Now, I have the feeling that the reason that we went to the moon and accomplished our objective of getting to the moon was we knew where it was. We knew when we got there and got back we'd done what we set out to do. I think the same thing must be true in environment. And whenever you start, you need to select a quantity that you can achieve measurable goals in a period of time that will not allow you to stagnate and become discouraged.
Of course, there's a group of us in the reform movement in the legislature that are trying to reorganize the legislature to receive information. It's not organized to receive it and use it. And I hope when we get the legislature ready that this subcommittee will have the community of those in science and technology ready to give us the information. So we are making contacts with people in the various universities and in industry. The seminar, the conferences at Auburn have been very helpful to me personally, and we've had a few other members of the legislature. The reports have been disseminated among members of the legislature who are involved with environmental quality matters. So that's generally what we're going to be doing in our subcommittee, and I'm trying to get the other members of the subcommittee aware of the various efforts that are going on in the state, like those of this group.